Howdy YouTube, another chat and gaming video. Thought I would come out and say hello, see how everybody's day is doing. Depending on when you actually watch this, hopefully you had a good day. Not really doing much of anything. Just been kind of waiting, like a lot of people, to go do stuff in a couple of days. One thing I did want to talk to you guys about, though, this is absolutely crazy how somebody's behavior can be changed simply by telling them that you've been evicted. You ever realize that about troublemaking neighbors? They push the envelope until it's too far, and then they finally get told by the landlord that you gotta go, and you're being booted out, and you gotta be out by this date. And then all of a sudden, when they get told and they're informed that they've been evicted, whatever they did to get evicted, they rectify it real quick and they stop doing it promptly. That's exactly what we're dealing with right now. It went from basically a bad situation to nice and quiet because the person that got in trouble has decided to be quiet and leave people alone. I know probably what you guys are thinking is she probably decided to do that a little too late, you know? This could have been avoided with her being evicted if she would have done this like on her own without being told by the landlord that you have to leave. And if I told you like how old this person is, like she's an elderly person, I know without doubt you're going to say, well, she should have known better than to act the way she was, because, you know, people like that normally don't do those things. Which is true, they normally don't. But, you know, first time for everything. I could tell you about a guy that I knew. I don't know if he's still living or if he's deceased now or whatever, but there was this guy that lived in Tucson. He was from Phoenix. I met him through one of my exes when I moved down there, like, years ago. His name was Dave. This guy was, like, really nice guy. Like, when I first met him, like, he was on top of things, you know. This was before he even got his disability, you know. He was living in housing that his mental health place was paying for. But he was on top of it, you know. We took care of his house, you know. He made sure that he took care of himself because he was diabetic. And, you know, he ate right. He helped people when he could. I know when I got closer to him, he started talking to me about things when I had an issue. He's a pretty good friend, you know. When I really, really cared about him like a family member after a while, I stopped calling him Dave because one day he said, you know, why not call me Pops? Because I'm more like a dad to you than anything. So he started being called Pops, and everything was all well and good until a particular female moved into the complex. That's when everything kind of went to hell, so to speak. Because this woman decided to try to be with him, and she was bad news from the get-go, guys. Drug addict, didn't see that she had a problem, had been in and out of rehab because of her family putting her there, or because of her, you know, getting so severe that somebody called 911 because she would be collapsed out on the front lawn. And I will tell you this right now, I actually caught this woman collapsed on the staircase trying to get to her house. She was so drugged out that she couldn't even think. She couldn't even move. Her body was so done. She was so exhausted, she just couldn't even move. What do you do in a situation like that? Well, I called 911 and had the paramedics and cops deal with it. Because I had my own problems at that time. I couldn't take on hers, too. That was a little too much to handle, so I had them deal with it. And, they did get together, Dave and this female. I'm not going to say her name because it's really not important. But after they got together, his life went from, normal as could be to as dysfunctional as you could imagine. You know what they say about, addiction? If you're basically this philosophy, and if you're in a barbershop, you're going to get a haircut eventually. Same thing goes for Dave, okay? He was with an addict that was active and doing God knows what on a daily basis. And for a long time, he tried to get her to stop. Well, let's just say that didn't work because instead of getting her to stop, she got him to start doing drugs. And from there on out, it was a very ugly sight. He started asking me, which at the time I had no income because I was still fighting for my SSI case at the time. All I had was food stamps. He started asking me to help him with food because he had no money for food. I'm like, you have your own place to live? Because at this point, when this happened, he had moved out of the housing that he was in because they had kicked him out for violation of having her in his apartment. So he's living in a different place, and he's asking me and God knows who else to support him with his food and everything else, and asking people for money for clothing items, his medication, because he said he couldn't afford it. And I'm sitting there asking him, how can you not afford it? I asked him, how much do you make monthly on SSDI, because you said you're getting that. He told me he was making $1,300 a month. I'm like, okay, so you pay your bills, which everything's included with your rent, so that doesn't take all your money. I'm asking him, how are you not able to buy food and pay for your medicine and all this other stuff? Oh, he made the crap load of excuses, oh, I had to help Ginger with bills. Well, I'm just going to call her that. I'm like, okay. And I asked him how much was the bills. He would never say how much the bills were. Which, to this day, I was very suspicious about that. I really don't ever think that any money went on bills. Truth be told, I think it was all drugs. This kind of situation went on for a very long time, I caught him asking his sister when he started talking to his sister again, caught him asking her, to buy food for him and stuff because he didn't have no food. She felt sorry for him and actually did it. And she did that probably, from what I witnessed, at least 4 times before she said no more. Because that was getting to be expensive because they were going through Safeway.com. You guys, I don't know if you guys have heard of Safeway. It's a West Coast chain. Real expensive store, too. I wouldn't shop there because their food's too much, but that's where she would go to get his food delivered to him. And like I said, she put a halt on it after a while because it just got to be, way too expensive. And she couldn't afford to basically take care of his needs and, make sure her and her husband had everything they needed. She just couldn't afford it. Which I can understand that from any situation, because if you're living off, retirement benefits and things like that, you really can't afford to help other people. That's just the way it is. But needless to say, I talked to this guy probably one time after I left Tucson a 1.5 years ago, and he was doing the same old song and dance, still with this woman, not wanting to leave her, nothing like that. So he said he was happy for me and this and that I got away from my ex-husband, and he said, it sounds to me like things are going to work out for you. Well, yeah, things worked out for me because I got out of the area that was real bad. But ever since I talked to him that time, wait, I did hear from him one other time when an ex of mine actually got in contact with me. This was like about a year ago. And he knew that I got rewarded my SSI, but that was the last he's heard from me. And last I knew about him, because I talked to my ex probably about 3 months ago. He told me that he wasn't even talking to Dave anymore because Dave had taken or borrowed a bunch of money and he had not paid it back, and he was not talking to him. And I guess he left like the night that my ex lend him the money. Dave took off and he didn't have any idea where he went, and he's been kind of missing ever since. Well, it's not really our job to play babysitter, if you know what I mean. Not with anybody. But that's just beside the point. Anyway, guys, I don't know. That just came to mind. I thought I'd tell you a little story today, I guess. If you like this video, go ahead and, give it a like. Comment if you want. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please feel free to do so. I'm always looking for new subscribers. I said last night when I did a video like this, I'm trying to do new things to pull people in to my channel. If you'd like to send me snail mail, you can go to my homepage for my YouTube channel, because my address is on my About Me section. I would love to get mail from you guys. I haven't received any yet, but hopefully that will change soon, because I would just love to hear from some of my subscribers. Even if you're not a subscriber and you'd like to send me a piece of mail just to say, hey, I like your videos, that'd be great too. Love hearing from people. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go, guys. You guys take care. Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.